Hello all. Like the last video, I wanted to put this little introduction on the beginning, noting that in this video and its predecessor, I um, refer to phases 1 and 2 of the MCU. In hindsight, what I meant to say was phases 1, 2, and 3 of the MCU, because Avengers Endgame and the movies that surrounded it, either preceding it or coming after it, those were in phase 3. So I'm referring to all 3 phases in this video and its predecessor. So even though you hear me refer to just phases 1 and 2, I'm also referring to phase 3. Now, a couple of other things occurred to me after shooting the body of this video. The MCU, in addition to putting together the original Avengers cast and the other heroes that came after that, and in addition to the good chemistry that they that existed between those actors and actresses, they also showed us what not to do. And I'm thinking about Brie Larson and her Captain Marvel character. There are tons and tons and tons of videos on YouTube laying the smackdown on Brie Larson, the way she portrayed that character, and her comments for the audiences. There's also that classic footage of Jeremy Renner sitting on stage with Brie Larson, listening to her talk and basically suffering his way through it. And I think there's some contentious footage of Don Cheadle reacting to her as well. The last thing I'll say, and I might make a video on this separately, is that that original Avengers cast wasn't very diverse. And I think Samuel L. Jackson was the only black man in that original Avengers movie. Of course, they added on several characters after that, but for now, I'll just say that didn't bother me, because the casting was well done, the characters were well portrayed, and the chemistry between those actors was stellar. So with that, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Yusuf Dunbar, and this is Big Discussions 76, Entertainment and Media. First of all, please like this video, please share it, and please subscribe to my channel. If you want to donate something to the channel, that information is below in the description box. And also, please consider joining the Big Words LLC newsletter. In addition to being a YouTube content creator, I'm also a writer with 2 blogs and a book project on the way, some of which I've started sharing on my new community tab here on Big Discussions 76, Entertainment and Media. I've started sharing some of the promotional essays and the page to the book project as well. We're not far out from the release of Wakanda Forever, and I think fans are, well, at least some fans are thinking back to phases 1 and 2 and just reminiscing on the good old days. Now, I created a video discussing Tony and Bruce's science projects, and the video before this involved the writing and the storytelling, and how they put everything together in terms of story. And this was going to be a longer video. Shout out to my brother Amahl Dunbar. I heard his voice saying you can make several short videos instead of one big one. Everyone can't sit and watch a long video. So in any case, and speaking of my brother, I've talked about my science channel. I have a science channel. Please go take a look at it if you're into science, because I'm a scientist. My brother does visual effects, and he has a visual effects channel. The links to all of that are below in the description box. He taught me a lot about video, so The things you see me do are in large part attributed to his knowledge. In any case, I wanted to make another video about the characters themselves and how the characters fit together and the chemistry. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how that first batch of characters, how they had chemistry, how they were casted really well, and just how they all fit together. So if you go back, if you've ever watched the documentary, or geez, there are several, one of the documentaries to Ridley Scott's original Alien movie, one of the things, I think it was the casting director, she said that one of the most important jobs of a production team is casting the right actors and actresses, and that's gonna in large part dictate how the movie does, and that's gonna in large part dictate how easy or how hard the director's job is. And I think one of the secrets to what made phases 1 and 2 of the MCU so good was the characters, the actors and actresses who played those characters, and the chemistry in terms of just how they all fit together. I'm gonna just name off some pairs. I mean, they started in individual movies with main characters and supporting characters, and then they were all brought together in the Avengers movies and then in Captain America Civil War. But just the way they all fit together, I thought was stellar. So, and I think this is a good place for me to say, I initially had to be sold on Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man, because as a child growing up in the 80s, I had seen Robert Downey Jr. in movies like Weird Science, and I'm trying to think about the other movie where he was the drug addict and he died at the end. I can't think of the name of the movie right now, but I had not ever seen him or imagined him. Well, he was also in the U.S. Marshals with Tommy Lee Jones and Wesley Snipes. But it was hard for me to at first imagine Robert Downey Jr. as a hero, and as I was watching Iron Man, I was still trying to fathom his being a hero. He and Jon Favreau, they eventually sold it, and for me, he became Iron Man. He became my favorite character in the MCU. The same was true with Chris Evans playing Captain America, because I saw Chris Evans as Johnny Storm in that initial iteration of the Fantastic Four, and he was a bit of a clown in that movie. So I kind of had to go from him playing Johnny Storm in a comedic way to now being one of the leaders of the Avengers and a super soldier. But again, he sold it. And I bought it, and I thought that he did a stellar job in that role. So let's start with those two. So the way Cap and Tony fit together, it was a tumultuous relationship from the start. Cap challenged Tony to make the sacrifice play. Tony answered that challenge numerous times. That was in the first Avengers movie. In the second Avengers movie, Cap challenged Tony to do everything together. We're going to win together. We're going to lose together. In Captain America Civil War, the writers broke the team up and they went to opposite sides, and Cap and Tony, they fought each other. Many of the team members rallied behind those two guys, and they eventually fought each other almost to the death. And then they fell out, they stopped talking, and then they eventually reconciled in Avengers Endgame, which was a very, very touching scene for me when Tony arrived and said, I solved the time travel problem, and by the way, here's your new shield. For me, when I watched that scene, it's very touching because they had come back together. So the way they fit together, I thought that was very significant. The way Steve and Bucky fit together, the way Tony and Rhodey fit together, the way, I'm just running these off the top of my head, the way Tony and Tom Holland's Peter Parker, the way they fit together, Natasha and Clint, Wanda and Vision, the way all of these actors and actresses fit together in terms of dialogue and in terms of story and in terms of chemistry, it ultimately became a bit of a family. And you saw that, in my opinion, you saw that in Civil War, you saw that in Avengers Infinity War, and you saw that in Avengers Endgame as well. And the sum total of the writing and the sum total of the chemistry and the sum total of the acting, at least for me, it got me to emotionally invest in the characters, and it got me to want to see them live on, and it got me bummed out when some of them died, like when Natasha died on Vormir, and ultimately when Tony died at the end, snapping Thanos and his army out of existence. Tony and Bruce, that's probably my favorite pairing in phases 1 and 2 of the MCU, because they're scientists. If you haven't watched my video about Tony and Bruce's science projects, please take a look. But just the way they played off of each other, just like that scene in Avengers Age of Ultron when Bruce thought that they were going to disintegrate Vision's body, and he looked at Tony and he realized Tony was scheming something up, and he automatically said, "No." And Tony talked him into putting Jarvis's operational matrix into the Vision body. Just the way all the characters fit together. The scene in Avengers Infinity War with Tony and Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, where Doctor Strange says, "Is this your ward?" And Peter Parker says, "Oh, I'm Peter Parker." And Doctor Strange says, "Stephen Strange." And Peter Parker says, "Oh, we're going with made-up names. Oh, I'm Spider-Man." And Tony's standing there in the background just looking on. To me, that was just brilliant writing, brilliant acting, brilliant chemistry between the actors. I'll even go to the Guardians of the Galaxy, that scene where Drax tells Quill Thor's laying on the bed, "You're a dude, this is a man." Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up. They were superheroes, they were fictional characters, but they were also real, believable people with flaws, and people with strengths, and people with weaknesses, and that impacted the story, the overarching stories that we saw on the big screen. So, I think I'm going to wrap this video up. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Have you seen this type of thing in what they've created after phases 1 and 2? Or have they created something else? In my opinion, they've created something else. I'm going to say one more thing about the characters. Black Widow was one of my favorite characters, and I think I didn't put this in the previous video about the storytelling. I thought that the Black Widow movie should have come in between Civil War and Infinity War, and them releasing that movie after Endgame when she had already died. It left me hoping that they would bring her back somehow. That's how invested I was in the character, and that's how much I enjoyed Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow. I wanted her to come back. I didn't want her to die. In any case, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Please like, share, and subscribe. And please consider joining the Big Words LLC Newsletter. Once again, I have the science channel. Check out my brother's visual effects channel below. And I think the next video in this series is just going to be a short discussion on the controversies surrounding Wakanda Forever. So with that, everyone, I'm going to wrap this up. Stay safe out there. And as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Take care, and I'll talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.